Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to continue on with the Trappist mini-series that I've been doing over the last few videos. So we're on to review number 5 today. So for this one we are going to Abbey de Scourmont in Belgium, and that of course is home to Biere Trappistes de Chimay. So we're going to have a look at another one of the Chimay beers, and this one is the Chimay Red. So this guy is a Belgian double and it comes in at 7% ABV. Now I've reviewed the Chimay Bleu for you before. I've also tried the white and the yellow, and I've not tried the gold one yet actually, but this is the very first time that I'm actually going to try Chimay Red. This one actually can be quite a bugger to come across here in Scotland, and I had to get the shop to specially order it in for me, so thank you to Sam at Hippo Beers in Glasgow for sorting that out for me. But I'm really interested to try this one, and as I said, with this Belgian mini-series that I want to do, or the Trappist mini-series rather, I wanted to cover all 7 of the original Trappist breweries and try and cover a diversity of styles as well. So this one will be the double that we look at. So I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer, and I hope you're enjoying this kind of mini-series that we're doing on the channel. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Chimay. Like I said, I've only reviewed the blue one so far, so we will review the others in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there, of course, for all the Belgian beers that I've reviewed for you before, and that's constantly being added to. And please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. There's a whole host of things over in Belgium, so do let me know in particular some of these different Belgian beers that I should be having a look at. So anyway, let's get on to the history of the Abbey and the brewery then. So the Chimay Brewery is part of the Scourmont Abbey in Belgium. As I said to you, in French it's Abbey Notre-Dame de Scourmont. So the suggestion of an abbey at Scourmont had first arisen in 1844 from Jean-Baptiste Jourdain, the Bishop of Virel. So all previous attempts to actually cultivate this land had failed. However, Father Jourdain was actually granted permission by Prince Joseph II de Chimay, the Abbot of West Vletren and also the West Mal Abbeys as well. So in July 1850, a small group of monks from West Vletren actually settled on the land and worked hard to cultivate it, and in February of 1871 Pope Pius IX elevated the priory to the state of Abbey, and it was inaugurated in July of that year as well. So the brewery itself was founded in the Abbey in the year 1862, and they were the first Trappist brewery to use the Trappist symbol on all of their labels, and as is the case with all the other Trappist breweries, all the profits go towards the maintenance of the monastery, with the remaining profits of course going to various local charities around the area. But the brewery has its own well inside the walls of the monastery, and they also use their filtered solids from the beers to feed the cows that make the Chimay cheese. That's something I really do need to try at some point, as well as the cheese that these guys produce, because it is supposed to be really nice. But the beer is brewed on site at the monastery, and then it's transported to a bottling plant 12 kilometres away, but then the beer re-ferments for about 3 weeks before it's shipped out. Apparently 50% of the production of their beer is sold for export, and as of 2012 they were producing 12 megalitres of beer. I think these guys are actually the biggest producer of beer when it comes to the Trappist abbeys. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that these guys are the biggest one. I mean, you can get these beers really easily out in Japan, in Australia, New Zealand, and I think down in South America as well. The Chimay beers, I think, are probably the easiest ones to get a hold of when it comes to these Trappist breweries, but they do some really good stuff. I've enjoyed the beers that I've tried from them before, and I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Just to list the beers that these guys do for you then. So they have the Chimay Red, which is this guy here, the double. They've got the Chimay Blue, which is a classic Abbey beer. They've got the Tripel, which is the yellow one, and the Dolly, which is the Patters beer. I think that might actually be the gold one if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure they have a white one as well, which is some kind of a special beer, but it might be that the white and the gold one have swapped labels a couple of times. But there's 4. The main ones are, of course, the Bleu, the Rouge and the Jaune. So you will see all those 3 mainly, and you can sometimes find the gold and the white one every so often. But like I said to you, this one is a 7% double beer. So that's all you need to know about the brewery and the beer itself. As I said, if you want to read a little bit more about that for yourself, do check out the links in the description below. But without further ado then, let's actually get stuck into this beer. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this before we open it up. There you can see Really quite nicely presented there. I do like the Chimay symbol, and of course that is there on the bottle cap in this one as well. These guys, of course, I should have mentioned, are from the Hainaut region of Belgium, which I believe is just to the kind of south of Brussels, if I'm remembering correctly. But nicely presented, this one. It is very similar to the other ones in terms of artwork, and you see Biere Brasserie in Belgique à la Abbey de Scourmont, and this ale brewed in Belgium at the Scourmont Abbey. So yeah, nicely presented, and it says Balje on the back there as well. Must be the little town where these guys are based by. But yeah, you can see on the top of the bottle there, I'm not sure how well you can see that, there is a little bit of an engraving in the thing there. They obviously get their own bottles made. It says Abbey de Scourmont, and then you can see that's in the little circle as well. So nicely presented, this one. So without further ado, let's get it out and get on with the tasting then. Nice smoky opening then, and we'll get it out into the glass. As I always say, that's one thing you do need to watch out a little bit when it comes to Belgian beers. You need to be very careful when you're opening them and pouring them, because the head can go crazy, because they do tend to be bottle fermented. And that, of course, with these ones you can usually age them a little bit and the flavours will change slightly because they are fermenting in the bottle. But there you can see, that's poured really nicely actually. Really quite a dark looking beer, this one. So as you can see, I'll just bring that up to the camera. If I put that up to the light, it's actually got a nice kind of dark reddish, almost chestnutty colour. It's got a little bit of an orangey tinge to it as well. There's a solid 2 fingers of a frothy head on this one. It's a kind of beige cream colour, a very light beige creamy colour. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall it looks really nice. If I put my fingers behind the glass, it is quite hazy, and I think it's fair to say, it's when I hold this beer up to you, maybe you can see it through the light quite well. It's a nice kind of, I think it's fair to say it's a nice sort of orangey, blood orange, almost slightly chestnut colour. I think it's somewhere in between blood orange and chestnut. That's probably a good descriptor for this beer. Of course you do have the, I think it's the EBC colour scale that you can put these things on, but I'm not sure exactly what colour this one would be. But it looks really nice, and that's basically what you need to know about the appearance. So let's have a closer look at the aroma then. It's actually quite mild in the aroma, to be honest with you. And I've always found that a little bit with Belgian beers. They're not the most, they're not the biggest aromatic beers, I would say. They do tend to be quite subtle in their aromas and quite complex at the same time, and you get more complexity in the flavour than you do in the aroma. But with this one you can smell a nice sort of bready malt base, that typical Belgian doughy yeast character that you'd expect. And I remember these Chimay beers, they're always big, oily, very smooth beers generally. But yeah, some nice kind of brown bready notes. You can pick up that big brown bready yeast. There's a little bit of a spicy note coming out of it. When you take it in a bit more deeply, you can get that sort of biscuity, honey, kind of caramel thing coming out of the beer as well. There's maybe a wee bit of a woody note, and you can pick up a little bit of the earthy and slightly grassy hops. Of course, a lot of these beers, they tend to use either English and or German hops, of course, Hallertau and things like Kent Goldings and stuff, and it definitely has a little bit of both of those in here. You can pick up that sort of German and that slightly German and English hop from it, but the earthiness, of course, isn't too much. It's just the hops in these beers are always very, very smooth. That's a typical trait of Belgian beers, of the older Belgian beers anyway. But yeah, there's a bit of a sort of dried fruit quality to this beer. You can pick up a wee bit of a kind of candied red fruit ester. There's a wee bit of an almost apricot-y note coming out of this one, maybe a little bit of date or something as well. It definitely has a kind of dried fruit quality to it and a wee bit of a red fruity ester. When you sugar it up, you start to get more of that kind of apricot and datey thing coming out of it. It's got a little bit of a kind of sultana note as well, which is quite interesting. So just, as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you actually try it. Because there's a lot, as I say, the Belgian beers, they're not going to jump out of the glass at you in terms of aroma, but they've always got some of these really nice kind of light, subtle complexities, but this one should be really nice. So let's get stuck into this then. So this one is the Chimay Red, or Chimay Rouge I should say, if I want to put it into French, from Biere Trappistes de Chimay, as part of the Abbey Notre Dame de Scourmont in Belgium. Let's get stuck in. Proust Santé. Yeah, that's really quite nice. I mean, as I said before, the thing that you can always rely on Chimay for is they always give you this really nice, smooth, easy drinking beer. As I said, this one is 7% ABV. And that's one of the dangerous things with Belgian beers, is they are higher in alcohol, but they cover it so well, they're always really smooth. And as I always say with these beers, just sugar it around your palate a little bit and let the whole mouth adjust to it before you start analysing the flavour too much. But you can tell straight away this is a pretty damn good beer. Yeah, that's pretty damn nice actually. So yeah, in terms of the flavours of this one then, let's start with the malty side of things. So as you would expect, you've got this nice kind of brown bready base to the beer. On top of that, you start to get some of this kind of caramel sweetness. It's actually more of a biscuity sweetness that I'm getting from this one. There's a little bit of honey there as well. It does have that almost kind of honeycomb flavour a little bit to it. It doesn't quite have, I mean, the thing with the double and the quadruple, they're not that far away from each other in terms of flavour profile, I would say. The quadruple is almost like the big brother of the double in a way. Then the triple, for me, I always consider that something completely different. It is just like a really, it's a lighter, kind of stronger beer, I would say. I've always thought that with Belgian beer, that the double and the quadruple are a lot more related when it comes to the flavour profile. They are completely different styles of beer, of course. But in my mind, with the flavour profile, the double, the quadruple is almost just like the bigger brother of the double in a way. But this one is really, I'm finding this one to be really quite bready. That brown bready character that this beer has, just underlying it, it's got a nice sweetness to it. There's a wee bit of biscuit and honeycomb, like I was saying. Some the smooth, slightly grainy characters that the beer has is really nice as well. When you progress further and further into the aftertaste in this one, you do start to get just a little bit of a slightly woody and kind of nutty flavour coming out of it as well. It is leaning towards the nutty side of things for me. It's got a little bit of a kind of almost toasted hazelnut note in it. Yeah, it just has this toasted hazelnutty note in it, which is really, really nice. It's like I was saying to you, these beers aren't going to jump out the glass at you in terms of having pungent aromas and things. They've got a nice bit of complexity, and you do start to get a bit more of that complexity as you actually taste them and get into the flavours. But this is really, really nice. As is the case with most of these Belgian beers, the hops are very, very smooth. So in the back corner of the palate you get just a little touch of earthiness, and as you come further forward it has a little bit of a herbal quality to it, a very, very smooth herbal quality, and as you get more towards the front of the tongue there's a wee bit of a floral character. And around the very front curve of the palate there's a nice little bit of grassiness in there as well. The hops, like I said though, are really, really quite smooth. And the fruity side of the beer is nice as well. So as I always say, for the fruity side of the beer, if you just go behind the front curve of your tongue, that's where you'll get this little oily bubble that comes out. And that's where these nice juicy fruity esters are. It's got that kind of dried apricot, that sort of dried apricot and datey flavour to it for me. You can feel that just behind the very front curve of your tongue there. And as you progress further and further into the aftertaste, for me it kind of morphs into being a bit more of a sort of candied red fruity ester actually. Yeah. I do like how this one comes across. The nutty, the sort of toasted, hazelnutty thing that this beer has in the middle. I really like that little thing that it leaves in the aftertaste. The whole beer goes together really well. That everything just kind of blends together, and it goes together so smooth. That seems to me to be the trait of the Chimay beers. It's just all about how the flavour kind of blends together, and they're always these big. In terms of the mouthfeel of these ones, they're always quite big and oily, and that really helps the flavours flow with them. But this is really, really nice. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again. And for me, as a double, I've had quite a few doubles that have been a bit sweeter than this one. This one, to me, has a little bit more of a lighter and kind of toasted feel to it than some of the others that I've had. But it's a really quite nice beer. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. Is it my favourite of the Chimay ones? I'm not sure about that. That's a really hard thing because, like I said, they're all individual styles within their own right. I do really like the Tripel, I do really like the yellow one. And the Tripel and the white one as well, I remember being really nice. And Chimay Blue, it's a lot juicier and kind of fruitier than this one, and it is a little bit sweeter. This one leans a bit more towards the kind of bready side of things. So when it comes to the Chimay beers, you can pretty much pick the flavour profile that you like. If you enjoy a kind of lighter beer with the big sort of bready and sweeter kind of more citricy notes, then the Tripel is better for you. If you like a sweeter caramel and darker red fruit, then I guess the Chimay Bleu is better for you. And if you like a more kind of bready beer, then the Chimay Rouge is probably going to be your the one that you want to go for. But this is really quite nice. And I think that is a little bit different to the other Dubels that I've had before. But that's one of the key differences again between the Dubel and the Quadrupel. The Dubel does tend to lean a little bit more towards the bready side of things, whereas the Quadrupel has a lot of big boozy caramel character to it rather than having the lighter bready notes. But the Dubel is a really nice style, and I like the Quadrupel as well, so I'm definitely looking forward to the Quadrupel in this series. But in terms of the mouthfeel with this one then, I would say this is mid-bodied. The carbonation does have a little bit of liveliness to it, but it's not as carbonated as some of the others that we've had a look at in the series before. It's more of a smooth carbonation, this one, especially in the Belgian context. A lot of the Belgian beers do have quite a lively carbonation, and that's due to the bottle conditioning, of course. It's got more of an oily mouthfeel, this one. The malt base has a good bit of sweetness to it, but overall it is quite smooth. The hops are smooth as well, and there is a little bit of a kind of juicy, fruity character in there as well, and there's a wee bit of a kind of toasted note that comes out of this one in the aftertaste as well. But overall, it's another really, really quite nice beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. I would be a bit reluctant to say this one is my favourite in the Trappist Chimay range, but it's a really, really nice beer. But pretty much with Chimay, just pick the flavour profile that you enjoy in Belgian beers and you will get a pretty damn solid beer. So yeah, it's been really cool to have a look at this one for you. Like I said, it was my first time trying this beer, and I certainly have been quite impressed with it. Every so often I do quite like going to these beers that are just a little bit more bready rather than being big, sweet and malty. So it is a nice change of pace, this one, when it comes to Dubels for me. So yeah, it's been really cool to review this one for you here on the channel. I hope you've enjoyed my take on this beer. As always, do let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below if you've tried it yourself. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Chimay, of course, as well. They've only do 4 or 5 different beers, but hopefully I can review the other ones for you at some point in the fairly near future. But it's been really cool to do this one for you. Thank you once again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out all my social media and do like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. But this was the Chimay Red from Brasserie, I think to give it its full name, it's Brasserie de Abbey de Notre-Dame de Scourmont in Belgium. So really, really cool to return to Biere Trappistes de Chimay, and I hope you've enjoyed this review. It's landed just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. You will see a review of the Chimay Tripel at some point in the fairly near future. Cheers.